Okay. Hi everyone, and welcome again to my audio-visual channel. I am Gabriela Handal. I'm a draftsman and the host of this show, A Conversation About Art, where I'm doing long-term research on the meaning of art and beauty. If you'd like to support my channel, liking, leaving a comment, and sharing this video is incredibly helpful, and so is subscribing. You can also provide support via the links in the description of the video. Today we have episode 100, and my guest is artist Morgan Pallas of M. Pallas Studio. Morgan, welcome. Please tell our listeners and viewers who you are and what you do.
Hi everyone. I'm an artist. I'm a painter. I specifically focus on watercolor right now. Before I began focusing on watercolor, I considered myself a serial dabbler. I would just kind of see something and be like, "Ooh, what's that? I want to do that," and explore different things. So I do like crochet, sculpture, jewelry, all kinds of stuff. And then, but last year I decided that I wanted to um, get serious about creating art full time and generating some income from it.
Mm-hmm.
And since I have a 20-month-old daughter, I felt like I needed to buckle down and focus on one thing for now. So right now that is watercolor painting. And so right now I generate work and to make prints, and I sell my originals and prints at different venues, art festivals, and things like that. And I also sell them online.
Okay. Okay, so was having a child what made you go from being a dabbler to feeling like you had to choose something and focus on that, and then try to make money from that?
Well, actually, was more so that's a piece of it. Um, Years ago, I'm having trouble remembering exactly how long ago it was, but my mother had been diagnosed with endometrial cancer, and she went through treatment, went into remission, and then the cancer came back, and uh, I just had this thought of like, what am I doing? Because I've aspired to be a full-time artist, and just kept, putting it off, putting it off, putting it off. And it's just, I didn't want to squander any more of this time that I have left here. And like my family and I, there's this art show where we live, Mount Gretna Art Show. And that's a show that we've gone to, like, just my parents had gone to before I was born. I've gone every year since I was born. I was actually born on art show weekend, and which is very special. I get to celebrate my birthday every year by going.
Nice.
And we will walk through the show, and my mom would say, well, one of these days you are going to be here. And I kept putting it off each year, saying, well, next year when I have this much done, next year when I have this much. And then when her cancer came back, I thought, well, if I have enough pieces that are of the caliber that I feel would get into the show, in order to apply, if I have enough pieces, I will put in an application. I'll see what happens. And they only needed 4 photos and then a booth shot. And since I never showed my work before, they just wanted 5 photos of my work. And I got in. So I was able to share that joyous news with my parents. I was like, whoa, like,
That's cool.
which is monumentous. I I was like, oh, I feel like a real artist.
Yeah, yeah.
And and then my mother, sadly, she passed away that July, but I was really happy that she
She
got
got
to
to
know.
see that.
Yeah, I got in, and then she was there with me in spirit, um and so there was that, um made me want to start taking an art the possibility of an art career more seriously. And then I also want to set a good example for my daughter too.
Yeah, of course.
Um, so that's also, I also work so hard because of her too. So it's both those things.
Okay. Well, both your daughter and that history with your mom and this art festival that you're talking about, it seem like really good reasons to like choose something to like anchor down with.
Yeah. Yeah, you're right.
Yeah, yeah.
And that weekend, I did, like, I was, I was so pleasantly surprised. I went into it just being like, you know what, like, I'm here to introduce myself. Like, I'm kind of like a fresh, like a new face on
Right.
the scene. I'm just going to introduce myself, meet lots of people. And if I sell my work, that's awesome too.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and I did quite well. I was just over the moon, like just elated by that. And it's so special that, like, when someone loves a piece of your work so much that they want to take it home with them. It's just, yeah,
Right.
so since I had success with that show, I was like, well, maybe I could do this more. And so that was like the starting point. I did more shows after that. And this year I'm uh, working on filling out a calendar for the year, different shows and stuff. So really just trying to get myself out there, since I've been creating my entire life, just drawing and painting and stuff. And but yeah, I had only started putting myself out there last, like, July, August.
Of
So
last year?
it's very fresh that I'm like putting myself out there.
Okay. 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 And when was it that you decided to specifically focus on the watercolor? What year was that? Was that also last year?
Oh, watercolor. I started focusing on watercolor with like painting and stuff. I started focusing on that in 2020 is when I really started working with watercolor. But so in there I would take breaks from it, like long breaks, and work on crochet or work on sculpture, do bead embroidery and stuff like that. And then once, just like my time is so limited with a toddler,
Yeah.
I figure, well, I gotta focus on something for now and generate like a big body of work. And I just really wanted to improve my skill, and I decided, well, I'm going to really focus on watercolor. And it's really amazing, like the more you sit down and work, you show up every day, like the inspiration just keeps flowing in.
Yeah.
It's just so cool.
It is cool, yeah.
The muse shows up and whispers inspiration into your ear, and then hope you can write it down before it leaves.
Yeah. I like that. And okay, so why were you dabbling in stuff before? I mean, other than, based on what we've talked about so far, arguably because you had no reason to pin down on something, but, why do you think that you wanted to kind of, I don't know, explore? Because, I don't blame you. I love that sort of drifting type stuff too, and I always end up coming back to drawing because I really like drawing, and that's what I do most. But I'm
Hmm.
interested in. For sure. I'm interested in other things. I mean, I want to. I mean, I like bookbinding, for example,
Hmm.
uh, and I like reusing stuff that I find and epoxy resin and this. I mean,
That's cool.
this type of stuff. You know, yeah, it is, and
Mhm.
and so it's like, but at the same time, it's like the value of focusing on one thing and polishing the one skill is very
Hmm.
valuable, you know,
Hmm.
because it's like obviously if you're distributing the polishing of a skill between lots of skills, then obviously they're
Yeah.
not gonna, none of them are gonna get particularly polished, you know.
Right.
So anyway, why why
Oh,
for you?
I guess my friend Sydney calls it like your brain goes into like squirrel mode.
Yeah, yeah.
You see something cool, it's like squirrel, and you get like I guess I would just see something particularly exciting, and be like, oh, I'm curious about that. I want to know more about that. I want to teach myself to do that. Um, and I think like when it comes to like crochet, it's like when it's gets this time of year, it's cold, there's something just so cozy about that,
Yeah.
and I feel so pulled to it. In fact, the this most recent watercolor I'm working on, I got to like I sketched out and everything, and I wasn't so sure what I wanted the color palette to be, and so I just took a break and I sat down and I crocheted a little bit, and that felt really good because I've been so like laser focused on the painting. Um, but yeah, I think yeah, it's just like I would get an idea and get so excited about something that I just didn't think anything of, just hopping medium to medium,
Mm.
or skill set to skill set, and yeah, I would just see something, get excited about it, and chase that down.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
But like drawing has always been there for you, that's what you always go back to.
Mm-hmm.
Painting is something that I had always gone back to,
Mm.
like
Always in watercolor,
not always in watercolor.
but just
I
painting in general.
Painting in general, yeah. For a long time, just growing up, would just I drew with graphite and stuff, and then in high school, uh, took different painting classes. So I was exposed to using acrylics and then oils. And I went to Millersville for 2 years and studied fine art during that time. And there, like, I played with oils more. So I was using oil. Um, I was using oil for many, many years. And then I I don't exactly remember why I switched to watercolor. Um, I, it's just like it's so appealing. The like with oil painting, there's the linseed oil, there's the turpentine, there's all the very like smelly, smelly
Mm-hmm.
stuff that comes with it. And oil paint is also very exciting too. Like I would like to use a palette knife and stuff, but then yeah, with watercolor, I just feel like it's, I just pull out my paints, revive it with some water, and
Yeah.
it's good to go. And then I also just love the like different effects that you can get that
Mm.
you can't really get with other types of mediums. Like you can create intentional like blooms in the watercolor, on your paper and all kinds of stuff. So, and I really love the layering that you can do. Anyway, yeah, I just love it, and I did gravitate towards that in 2020, so the
Okay.
year of the, I guess, when lockdown happened.
Yeah.
That's when I
Yeah.
was able to, that's when I really started focusing on that and exploring that, and I'd see other people's work too, like some other watercolor artists, and it would just be like, wow, I didn't know watercolor could do that. And that,
Right.
plus I also, like now that I'm talking about it, is what I think also made it more interesting to me is that you can be really you can be get really really tiny tight details with
Yeah,
it, and you can
yeah, yeah.
also be really washy with your paint, which yeah, I just think is so cool.
That is cool. That makes me think of. I mean, that's very true of that range, that available range is definitely true with watercolor. Whereas I'm not entirely sure if it's as immediately available with other. I mean, I guess it is, but I don't know. I guess I'm just thinking of Dürer, Albrecht Dürer, who made these
Mhm.
unbelievable watercolors in the Renaissance and stuff, and he was just um, he did like the wing of a bird and like a patch of grass and a bunny and I mean a hare I think it was, and they're just incredible. And you wouldn't. I mean, I have a hard time believing that it's watercolor, and it totally is.
Yeah, yeah.
It's pretty cool. Okay, so talk to me a little bit about your subject matter
Oh, I
for your watercolors.
usually,
Yeah.
yeah, I have worked the human figure is what comes most easy to me, and that's what's always come easy to me is the human form. Um, and so that is in like the main focus of most of my watercolor paintings. And then recently I've made the choice to try to incorporate more scenery, like botanicals and stuff like that, like in my pieces, and painting more animals. It's like I think fur is particularly difficult to
Mm-hmm.
get like that texture with watercolor. And I decided to stop shying away from things that just are hard,
Mm-hmm.
and you swallow my pride a little bit, and um, just really, practice things that don't come so easy to me. And I've looked at like other watercolor artists that teach lessons or do demos like on YouTube, like how they do their landscapes and stuff. And so like I'm just like eternally grateful for the people, the artists that take the time to put their techniques and stuff out there. Um, I just yeah, that's been really helpful for me. And so I guess like how so that's been very freeing, um, opening myself up to um, experimenting more, like adding more details and stuff. Whereas before, I would really shy away from adding things that I would really want to add because I was like too afraid that I was just going to ruin my painting.
Mm-hmm.
I was just too afraid to like mess up, or not be quote unquote good. And anyway, so how a piece comes to be is really like it's usually while I'm working on a current piece, I'll just have an idea float in, or maybe I'm even like I just see a picture or I see something while I'm out on a hike or out somewhere, and I'll think, oh, that would make a great painting, or oh, what if I do this, that, and the other. This lady shared a really cool photo that she took of some mushrooms. They look like little tight little bells in some moss. And the way they're stacked up, they almost look like they could be like those little homes that are like carved into the side of a mountain or something.
Mm-hmm.
And I thought, wow, that would be cool to paint like something inspired by that, but like incorporate maybe like fairies, or I don't know, or maybe just like do moths or frogs or something. But I asked her if it was okay to use the photo, and she said, oh yeah, of course. So it's just yeah, whatever I'm inspired to create, I'll just sketch that out. And and then usually as I'm sketching, more inspiration, more ideas come. And then once I'm done with that, I use the grid method to then transfer that to like a larger piece of paper or like a nice piece of paper. Um, yeah, and then from there I apply my paint. But yeah, this subjects of my pieces are just really whatever comes to my mind. And then I used to years ago just get really hung up on like things having to have meaning. Like they have to have meaning. There has to be like this symbolism. I was just really hung up on that. And that was, gosh, like I'm 35 now. And that was like something that I was really stuck on in my like early 20s. And then a friend of mine just helped me come to this realization that, oh, like, I mean, you know, your art, it doesn't always have to like, you don't have to go into it like saying that it has to have like a specific meaning. You can just create something because you want it to exist in the world. And I thought, oh yeah, you're right. Like I think sometimes, yeah, we're told that there's all these like rules. And back then I was very hung up in, oh, there's all these rules and that, and creating pieces. But what I found is after I've created something, I might like look into the symbolism like behind certain things and dig a little deeper and be like, oh wow, there is meaning there. And the first painting I made postpartum, it was like, gosh, I had my daughter and I hadn't painted in like 5 months. And when I made time to, I felt like I came up for air. Like I just felt like I came home to myself, and it was just like, wow, like I like looking back, I like struggled with postpartum depression pretty badly. And it was like, whoa, like I wish I would have from the get-go made that time to paint sooner. And the painting she's called Sprout, and it's just this head. She has moss hair and these dogwood branches coming out of her head with moths and spiders and things. And someone saw the painting online and said that it reminded her of like women, like how women can we're trying to be everything for everyone all at once, and you're giving so much and maybe not filling up your own cup. And I didn't create the piece with that intention. I kept having this vision for a piece in my head, and I just thought, you know what, I'm gonna make time to do this. And then when I had read that comment, I was like, oh my gosh, that's exactly, you know, how I was feeling 5 months postpartum, and you're trying to juggle all the things. And at that time I was doing goldsmithing for a friend's jewelry company, and also being a stay-at-home mom while doing that, and making sure, you know, we have chickens, and so in a big garden, so you're trying to just take care of everybody. And anyway, even though I might not put some meaning into something from the get-go, it just your work will mean something different to whomever is like taking it in. And I just thought that was really cool that she saw that and shared it with me. So I thought, oh, that's kind of like where I was when I made that. So,
okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So when I look at your Instagram account, I feel, and that's kind of the impression that I had when I kind of scrolled through it the first couple of times, that there's like some kind of fantasy art type thing in the subject matter, especially with the description of that you just gave me of the lady that you drew about 5 months after your kid was born.
Mhm.
Because she sounds like a nature lady, like a nature nymph type,
Mhm.
something like that. And um, so I mean, does that sound accurate? And I mean, in a way, I think that makes a lot. I mean, it makes the subject matter, I think, makes sense, because kind of like the impression that I have of like fantasy art, or the fantasy, if I ascribe kind of fantasy art to your work, because
Mhm.
it's just like the impression that I get is like, it's like whimsical, it's like lighthearted, it's kind of filled with the curiosity of like, you're walking through some bushes and you like hear a thing and you're like, oh, and you look and stuff, and then there's a fairy there or something, or
Yeah.
like this type, they kind of have that feeling. So I think also that whimsical impetus, I guess, is like consonant with what you were saying, that you were doing before you fixated on watercolor, which is just going with your whim in
Mhm.
doing stuff. So then it's like the whim has been directed at something else in the work, and it's kind of been made the subject of the work in a way. I don't know. What do you think about that? I mean, is it accurate to say that there's at least a degree of fantasy art in your work? Because I mean, I think I just saw I saw like a mermaid type lady in a drawing,
Mhm.
for example. I mean, does that seem right?
Yeah, yeah. I I used to think that like I think photorealism is incredible, and I used to think that, oh, like I really want to do that, do that, do that. And then um I thought, well, no, like for me, I want my art to portray things that you might not see, you won't see in the day to day. Like I think there's something so incredibly fun about painting a mermaid, or like right now I'm painting a I keep looking off to my right. My painting's like taped to my watercolor board next to me in my studio. Um, it's my I've had this idea for I kept thinking, oh, I kind of want to make a dragon, but then I was like, oh, are people, I mean, you sometimes maybe would get hung up on, oh, well, people like that stuff. And, but anyway, so I thought, well, I'm gonna just have fun and sketch out a dragon. So I did. So this is actually going to be my first, no, second painting. I painted a botanical of an obedient plant, but so this will be like my second painting where there's no like human form in it,
Mm-hmm.
um, which is really exciting. So I think there's something so fun about um, bringing breathing like bringing something into the world that you might not just happen upon
Mm-hmm.
or
Mm-hmm.
see. I just or bringing putting something on paper that wouldn't exist without you're creating it or putting that on paper. So yeah, like leaning into I'm leaning into the more of like the fantasy stuff now. Um, and like my husband had said like, oh, it's kind of like fantasy and nature themed before I even put myself like kind of in that category.
Mm.
Like, oh yeah, I guess it kind of is. And I'm like, you know what? Like I'm leaning into it. It's really fun for me. Like I've relaxed, I guess a little bit more now that I'm kind of like leaning into that and exploring that and making more and more fantastical pieces. And yeah, anyway, I'm just having a lot of fun over here making these fantasy pieces. And so for a long time, I was making watercolors that were quite large. And then recently, there's this artist, James Brown, that I just really love his work. Like he just, um, anyway, so when I used to paint oils, I would do like a sepia color, like underpainting.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like thinking like, oh, like how would I do that with watercolor? And I was always like too timid to try of like how you would go about doing an underpainting with watercolor. And he happened to share one day that he will use like water soluble ink
Hmm.
to do an underpainting before applying watercolor. And I was just like just elated at just that he shared that, and I immediately wrote him and just thanking him for sharing that technique, because I've been like, just how in the world would I do that and then be able to put watercolor on top and not it be a muddy mess. And so that's I've been playing around with that. So yeah, the mermaid that you spoke of a few minutes ago, and then there's a painting I did of a fawn that is inspired by my daughter. She has this pair of, they're like poofy brown woolly pants that kind of make her booty look really big. And so like when she would wear them around the house, I call them her little fawn pants. And I'm gonna kind of, I want to make a little painting. And so if you're happen to see that painting, um, uh, so there's a little cat following behind her in the woods as she's chasing after fairies, and the cat is our cat, Gidget, that she just loves so much. Um, anyway, yeah. So the lately I've been playing around with um, the ink underpainting and then doing watercolor on top. So my recent pieces have been like tiny, so that I'm just kind of exploring that and seeing what it does. I'm really happy with like how things are looking. It's quite cool.
Okay. Okay, good. Um, all right, so just a moment. Okay, so Mrs. Morgan Pallas, what is art in your opinion?
Um, so I think that art is in the eye of the beholder.
Mm-hmm.
If the person that is looking upon this object, painting, whatever, and they think that it is art, then that is art for them. For me, art is something that is creatively and thoughtfully made, using your I think creatively or thoughtfully made. Yeah, that's what that is to me.
Okay, well, I mean, I certainly like that latter part a lot because that's kind of how I feel about what art should be, at least, both creatively and thoughtfully made. Um, but I'm not. Do you think that the first part that you said about how I mean, basically anything can be art, or it depends on who is looking at what, and then that each individual determines whether what they're looking at is art or not.
Mm-hmm.
Don't you? I mean, do you think that belittles the whole concept of art at all? I mean, in the sense that
I think so. Sorry, keep
no,
going.
no, go ahead. I just didn't catch what you said. Sorry. That you,
No,
I
I
mean,
would
you
say,
do
like,
you do think so?
I think so.
Okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
it's just, yeah, people will look at something and say like, "Oh, that's art," and they really like it and appreciate it, and I might look at it and be like,
Okay. Okay. Okay.
It's just, it's yeah, I think it's something that's creatively and thoughtfully made, not just. I used to work for a fine art foundry, and I just, someone brought in a balloon and said, "Oh, you make this like large and in like this type of metal," and then it was like, that was, I don't particularly see that as being art.
Mm-hmm,
But to that person and to like this person's collectors and stuff, that's art to them. or like tongue-in-cheek things like there's I can't for the life of me remember this artist, and I know they did it just to like I think maybe prove a point, but like the artist that maybe like taped a banana to a wall and
Mm-hmm.
called it art.
Mm-hmm.
I just I don't particularly care for that. I don't think that's really art.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, for me, it's something that's creatively and like very thoughtfully made, not something that's just like, oh, I have a just yeah, something that's tastefully done or something that's just done as a I guess a joke.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. I don't particularly there are lots of things that people consider art that I don't really think it is, or feel that it's something that I don't have I really like that I would have respect for.
Mm-hmm.
um yeah, so it's yeah, like I said, I just it's in the eye of the beholder, but in my case, something that's carefully, thoughtfully made, um preferably by your own hand or your own capabilities,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
not having other people do it too, like
Right.
or like like gosh, like AI's a thing now, which I don't know a whole lot about that, but I don't particularly think that's a great thing. I don't know a whole lot about it, except for like my basic concept of it is that you plug prompts into a program and then it like spits out an image.
Mm-hmm.
That's my very basic, and
Yeah.
I don't really, that turns me off. That takes like a human piece away from the creation process, which it's not, it's for me, that's not something that I'm like interested in. That's like, I know, like a weird sticky subject, but yeah, that's an odd thing that's like really becoming popular, and that's yeah, and that's an interesting thing to think about too, is yeah, AI art and how that's coming into the picture now.
Um. I wanted to. Right. Yeah. So, I mean, I agree with you about. I guess what is now kind of like the middle of what you were talking about, which is the that art is something that has thought and creativity put into it.
Mm-hmm.
And I guess I don't know. I mean, do you feel like you have to add kind of like the prologue of being like, oh, art is in the eye of the beholder in a way so that because you don't want to judge the people who think that those whatever in my opinion trash they made to in order, and I mean I'm only asking because it reminds me of the way that I felt in the past,
Mm-hmm.
because I won't really only recently, like I would say in the last 5 years, maybe less, I have kind of started giving myself permission, quote unquote, of being like, no, that's not art, and I don't have to, um, I don't have to tolerate it as art. I don't have to accept it as art. It's not. It's like for me, certain things are no longer bad art or whatever. They're just not art. You know.
Mm-hmm.
And that's only just very recent that I'm not sure why I kind of have been giving myself permission to do that. And I mean the reason for that, and I mean it's not like before I was cool with it. I mean before I kind of thought that I was like, yeah, I'm nobody to judge. I didn't quite know what art was, even though I do think that what I do is art. What I've always been
Mm-hmm.
doing is art, like drawing or painting.
Yeah.
But at the same time, it never made sense to me that the drawings or paintings that I make or made were in the same category as somebody putting a brick on a pedestal. That
Yeah.
makes no sense to me as that it's like that makes no sense to me as being in the same category. But
Yeah.
before, I mean, it is, in a way, it's more difficult to be like, that's not art, because obviously somebody's gonna be like, oh, you're like whatever, I mean, you're gonna have some kind of somebody's gonna be like, oh, you're an elitist or something like that, um so like,
Yeah.
in a way it's easier to avoid the confrontation by being like, yeah, I'm not gonna judge or whatever. I don't know, what do you think about that? Does that seem right? I mean, is that how you feel? Or I don't know, what do you think about this?
Yeah, yeah, I guess so. It's yeah, not yeah, like I guess like a past maybe a yeah, that part that piece that you said about like passing judgment because like yeah, it's just yeah, for me I would be like no, that's not art. Like there was I don't even remember this artist's name. This is so sad. But um sold an invisible sculpture. Sold an invisible sculpture. Yeah,
Yes.
and just like it was like wrote a it's just it's anyway, yeah, which like I was like that is not art and that's ridiculous. And it's like that like must have involved like a hell of a lot of like really good marketing to
Mm-hmm.
like it sold for like a lot of money and I guess like the person probably just took home a like pedestal and like with nothing on it. Um but yeah, it's like stuff like that or like there was an artist that did like a urinal and just like wrote something on the side of it.
Yeah,
Um,
that was the guy who started it, arguably, about 100 years ago.
yeah, it's just like yeah, to me, I'm
No,
like, I
like
look at it,
70, 50 years ago. Sorry, go ahead.
I'm like, that's not art. Like, but to someone else, that might be art. And I like, and it's funny because like my husband and I will debate these things. He likes to play devil's advocate, and I think
Right.
he likes to see my feathers get ruffled a little bit about. I feel very passionate about this stuff. Like I, um, yeah, I just, yeah, I would look at something. I would be like, yeah, that is not art. But then, yeah, if someone, yeah, else thinks it is, I guess, yeah, I'll look at a thing and be like, that's not art. But like, if like another person comes in and it's their experience that it is, it's like, well, okay, I guess it is to you. To me, it is not. Um, it's so yeah, I guess there's yeah, like the that piece you said about maybe I don't think you said like if you're or like judgmental or like almost like an art snob, like that's not real art or whatever. Um, but people like what they like, and it's just who am I to, I guess, poo-poo that away for them. But yeah, for me, I just would be like, no, that's that like that urinal on a wall. I'm like, that's not art. You can spend 300,000 on there or whatever, take that home, frame it or whatever. But yeah, I don't consider stuff like that um, art. I don't think that is creative, like stuff like that's creatively done or thoughtfully done. I don't think it takes any degree of skill really to
Right.
do stuff like that. And like just being an artist and the whole like part of it and part of your artist journey is to like really hone your skills and hone your craft and like there's like blood sweat and tears that go into it, like there's so much work that we put into it and then for someone to just be like I'm selling this invisible sculpture, it's like a slap in the face to people that like really like put in the work. And or I mean I don't know what else this artist has done, but I just know that there's an artist couple that I listen to their podcast on YouTube, Rafi and Klee, and they're this husband and wife artist couple, and they were like discussing that on their podcast, and I just thought, wow, that's great. It's just crazy. Like I can't imagine buying an invisible sculpture, but
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
Yeah, like artists, we really put our time in and we put a lot of effort into our work and we have a lot of pride in what we do. And I just don't see how like certain things, how someone could be proud of certain things, like, you know.
Yeah. Yeah, okay. No, I mean, I like that. And I agree with you. I mean, because of what I was saying, that there's no compare. I mean, I don't understand how they can be in the same those, that one how those different type of objects can be in the same category. That makes no sense to me.
Yeah.
And at the same time, and I mean, I guess to like also play devil's advocate in a way. I mean, I definitely think that asking the question of what makes something art is a valid one. Because that's the question that the guy that you said, Marcel Duchamp, the one that made the urinal.
That's name, yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I haven't done that much research into what his intention was, but in a way that is what he was asking.
Right.
That was kind of like the challenge that he was posing to the Dadaists, or like that's the challenge that the Dadaists were posing. That it's like, what makes something art? And for example, what makes, once something is considered art, what then makes a good work of art? What then makes a bad work of art? Like this type of stuff. It's like those are valid questions to ask, but at the same time. I don't know how long. I don't know how long it's been. I just since that happened, I think that was sometime. I think it was like after the Second World War, or in between. Between the First World War and the Second World War, and then after that, all of this stuff started to happen. And it's been I don't remember right now when the First World War started, but I mean it was it was a century not that long ago. So it's been just under 100 years of this whole postmodernist thing of, oh, what is art, and beauty is now the beholder, it doesn't matter, like this type of stuff, and I don't know, I mean, it's like it has gotten old surprisingly fast, because it's like if we compare how long stuff from the Renaissance, and kind of wanting to, not just things from the Renaissance, because like around that time it was when oil painting kind of started to be used, and how long that persisted, and how long it took for that to be replaced by something else, which was the Dadaism, postmodernism stuff. It was centuries versus like the just under a century of this other stuff, and I think that is a testament, or it's evidence of the quality of one versus the other, and the other thing that really annoys me when it comes to this, to the Dadaism and modernism and Picasso, whatever, is the whole idea of doing something that has never been done before. And because we can only be in the present, and we can only know that, we know best that of our time in a way. Humans, we forget that there has been a ton of shit that has already been done, and it's like it is extremely, and we do not come up with ideas out of nowhere. It's always empirical. So it's like, how Picasso would make like the triangular noses and like the eye here and whatever, this type of stuff. And it's like, I remember having seen pictures of, the little Venus sculptures that are old as shit, made out of like
the woman of Willendorf, like the little squat.
Yeah, exactly. So there's another Venus, or at least it's not necessarily a Venus. I don't know if it's specifically categorized as a Venus, but the thing is that the little sculpture has a triangle nose. And I'm like, we're talking more than, I don't know how many thousands of years. It's like, we're talking about tens of thousands of years, maybe hundreds of thousands of years. And I'm like, it is so arrogant to think that we are now doing something that has not been done before, when clearly it has. It is just, like you were saying about feeling liberated. by adding more stuff to your, by having another skill in your toolbox when you're doing work, it is so liberating to forget about the whole idea of doing something completely new and just do whatever the hell you want to do
Yeah.
and try to get good at it,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Okay. All right, that was a ranty rant.
Oh, it was great.
Okay, Mrs. Pallas, what is beauty in your opinion?
Well, I just so for me, beauty is something that when I behold it, um, I guess like like whatever I'm looking at elicits like a pleasurable feeling, like a happy feeling or joyful feeling or calming feeling, whatever, um, like whatever I'm looking at, like elicits a positive like feeling within. I guess like that would be um, something, yeah, beautiful in the simplest terms. Like there's you could get really in depth with like, oh, there's beauty in like decay because then
Mm-hmm.
there's like rebirth, but then beauty as we would I guess like traditionally know it, like I would say is something that just like elicits feel like good feelings
Mm-hmm.
when I'm gazing upon it.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Yeah, and I've definitely, you know, previous guests have definitely mentioned how they enjoy decaying things, whether fruit or plants or fruit or but also animals.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and I myself have also enjoyed that have also found enjoyment in looking at those things, and I think the I think there's still positivity to be found. I'm trying to kind of join it with what you're saying because I agree that the experience of beauty is a positive experience.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and I think even when one is looking at something that is typically considered, unsavory to look at, like roadkill or something,
Mm-hmm.
uh, it can still one can still find that positive contemplative experience that comes
Mm-hmm.
with beauty because it's because of what you just said, that it's like if you're looking at a carcass of something, for example, if you're surrounded by nature way more than I am, because I think you're not in a city, or not,
I'm in the
maybe.
woods.
Yeah,
In the
so
middle of
you're in the
the
woods. Yeah, yeah, so that's like the perfect place for that
woods.
stuff. It's like you can see that the carcass is going to be, not immediately, but it's going to be integrated back into the earth,
Mm-hmm.
and then some other stuff is gonna like bloom on top of it,
Yeah,
where the carcass
yeah,
was. So then that is, um,
mushrooms, bugs, animals, like yeah, there's a whole host of
yeah, yeah.
like
So then,
positive things that come from it.
yeah, yeah, exactly. So then, kind of like that circle of that relationship between life and death, and being reminded of that it's, that they're parallel to each other, or that one leads to the other, and they start over again.
Mm-hmm.
From one starts from the other, and I don't know. I'm being kind of rambly here, but um, I think being reminded of that, or thinking about that while contemplating a carcass, is part of the experience of beauty as well, because thinking about that also makes one stop and think about that very thing.
Mm-hmm.
Um, does that make sense? What do you think about that?
Yeah, and then I think without, yeah, like without death and decay, you can't like there's no like there isn't that appreciation for life and rebirth
Right.
and reemergence. And but yeah, like trying to like stop and see the beauty in all things. I think is just I think maybe a nice way to go about life. Try to see the beauty in all things. Yeah, when you stop and look at, like, yeah, like you were saying, for instance, a decaying animal, there's there's that death and decay, but then there's also a lot of life that come from it. There's like the fungi that'll bloom from it. There's like the insects that'll eat it, animals that'll eat it. Like we have, oh my gosh, we have tons of turkey vultures in the area. These like massive birds that just, they're constantly circling out here. But they get to eat and sustain their livelihood, and then there's like the insects that thrive from it. And then if you enjoy collecting bones, then
Nice.
you can bring bones home. We have some bones. And then, well, and there's like squirrels. They enjoy chewing the bones to get like the calcium and stuff. So there's all kinds of like, yeah, just, yeah, varying degrees of like what you consider beautiful. Like, yeah, I think there's definitely beauty to be seen in those situations.
Do you think, as opposed to the trite platitude of beauty is in the eye of the beholder, do you think that rather beauty can be found if, anywhere, if the viewer is kind of willing to find it or is looking for it? Because I think that's applicable to what the example that we were just using, because some people will be like, oh, that's gross. But then at the same time, it's like if you kind of sit and look at the carcass, you will be like, oh, but this is the cycle of life, like right in front of me right now. And then you're mind blown. Mm-hmm. And then that's amazing to be reminded of that. Because, like you were saying earlier when you were talking about pinning yourself down to watercolor and choosing something, it's like our time here is finite. Mm-hmm. Right? So then that's also, the carcass can also be a reminder of that, which is great. That's a positive thing, So then do you think that one can experience beauty anywhere if one is kind of open to it or is willing to find it or willing to look for it and curious?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, you have an open mind. Yeah, and a willingness to see it. Yeah, I agree.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Okay, well, because we had to kind of start and stop for a second there because Zoom is stupid. But I think we're at about the 50-minute mark of our conversation, Mrs. Pallas. So I'm gonna start to close it out here. Why don't you tell our listeners and viewers, or future listeners and viewers, what you're up to lately? Do you have any projects coming up? Do you have any of these shows where you're going to sell your work coming up anytime soon? Mm-hmm. Where can people find your work? Do you want to add anything?
Yeah. So you can find me on Facebook, Instagram, and TikTok, and all of them have the same handle. It's Pallas, Pallas studio, and it's just where I share photos of my work and time-lapse videos of my process. I'm going to be, well, right now I'm working on filling out my calendar for the year with like shows and stuff. Right now I have confirmed on, oh gosh. I'm sorry, I just need to look.
No problem.
Really quick. It's not letting me pull this up. I just need to check here. It's okay, May 11th and 12th. I'm gonna be that's my first event of the this season so far. It's gonna be the Midsummer Magic Market in Monroeville, Pennsylvania, which is near Pittsburgh. And I did the Market of Magic with these people last year in Lebanon, Pennsylvania, and it was just such a cool show. There was like oddities and all kinds of things. Like, that was a really fun show. And so the Midsummer Market is going to be just like fabulous. And then so on my Facebook and stuff, I'll list a calendar of like shows and stuff. So if y'all check me out there, follow me, you will be updated on when and where we can maybe meet in person.
Okay, that sounds great. All right, so, well, thank you, Morgan, very much for joining me. Thank you, everyone, for joining us. Feel free to let Morgan and I know what you think of this conversation in the comments and leave any additional questions you might have in the comments. I encourage everyone listening to and watching to like this video and share it with anyone you consider relevant, as it is immensely helpful to my channel, and so is your subscription. If you want to support Morgan, myself, and the podcast, you can find links in the show notes. Thank you very much, and see you next time, everybody. Thank you. Bye.